Welcome to the first edition of Wings Weekly in 2020-2021 season. And of course, joining me is head coach Scott Langer. The Wings traveled to North Dakota over the weekend for a game against Bismarck on Friday and then on to Minot on Saturday. After defeating Bismarck 9-1 and Minot 7-1 the previous weekend here at the ODI Center, the Wings suffered a 6-4 loss to the Bobcats and a 4-3 loss to the Minotauros, providing further examples of how difficult it can be to play on the road in the Central Division. While I wasn't there, Coach, it kind of sounds like maybe some slow starts were part of the problem.
Well, especially on Friday night, it was extremely slow. They came out, they were excited to play. There was no question. The first home game for them, and five of their first 7 shots hit the back of the net. So it's tough to recover there. The third period, we played extremely well. I mean, gave ourselves a chance to win the game, and just couldn't get that extra one, and they got an open net. But it's a good lesson during training camp and during exhibition that you have to get off the bus and be ready to play, or you're going to suffer defeat in this division.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we've talked about it before, but the wins and losses in exhibition games are meaningless. It's the same thing as preseason of any sport, really. But what it's more about is evaluating talent, seeing who brings what to the table and who building a team, and especially in a year like this, when scouting was more difficult and travel and face-to-face meetings and all that kind of stuff was limited. Those exhibition games mean that much more, and I think, as you mentioned before, that's why they were added, or why there are more exhibition games. What are you seeing from from the players so far? I know early on you talked about work ethic, and we mentioned that pregame Saturday night too here at the Odie. But are you overall seeing what you're looking for?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a process, and I don't think we took a step back, but I think we took a step forward after the weekend. Obviously, as a group, we're learning how to win, and it's a good group. It's an exciting group to have together. It's the leadership starting to show through, and but this is a fast, quick hockey team that is going to outwork their opponents on a lot of nights this year, and they enjoy that. And they came back. They dropped 2 on the weekend, but we came back to work on Monday, and the energy level was where you want to see it.
Good to know. As you mentioned, that's part of the Wings way, is that work ethic. And I know, as I mentioned in the pregame Saturday here last week, that there were a couple of times where you could clearly see that they were just flat out outworking guys in the corners and along the boards and stuff. So, obviously you don't return a whole lot of players. We're seeing the same amount really out of Minot and Bismarck. Not entirely sure what Austin's roster looks like, but and you mentioned it. You're starting to see some leadership. What are you seeing? And are the vets kind of starting to not rise to the top, but are they setting the example that you're hoping for?
Yeah, they are, pretty much for the most part. The guys that have come back off last year's team they've done a good job of showing the new faces around town that the way we do things, and you especially see guys like Nico DeVita and Clay Constantino, and Cade Nielsen. Those guys are doing a really good job. Spencer Schneider. Of having guys understand, the way we do things around here. And that's kind of what this whole process is all about. We extended our exhibition schedule this year. This way we get into October, we get to our first regular season game. We've worked out all these issues that we need to work out, and our leadership emerges through it. And I think we're going to have some real benefit from this process. So, we're getting down to numbers, and I think that's important, because the closer you are, the less numbers you have, the closer you're going to be as a hockey team, and it's tough when you have so many guys in the room. We started out with 30 guys, and today we're down to 25. So I think we're just going to continue to get better.
Well, that's all that can be done, especially in a year like this with so many challenges. And I know, Coach, you've answered this question when asked by other people, and I know there was an interview done with the league too, but talk a little bit, if you would, maybe for those that hadn't seen that, about the challenges that the offseason brought, and being able to have the season end so abruptly the way it did, and then being able to communicate, actually lack of communication in many cases, because you were restricted over the phone, text, that kind of stuff, because you can't meet face to face. You can't go into someone's living room and talk with their parents, that kind of thing. There's a lot of difficulty there, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a lot. I mean, it's we were fortunate enough because we did a lot of our scouting during the season before it all ended. We had a lot of it done, which I think was a good thing. But, for the blue chip players, the free agents coming out of Canada and all that stuff, those are the guys that you really get on during the off season. And normally you get a chance to meet with them and go through the whole process with them in the recruiting. But, this year we relied on a ton of video. I mean, we're just so happy to have had the video because we spent endless amount of time this summer evaluating guys through video. So, it's definitely changed. When there's no hockey going on in rinks, we can't see these players play. So I'm just very fortunate enough that our guys were out early enough to get a grip on it. And it looks like youth hockey's going right now, so things should be somewhat better this year as long as they do the right things and don't get shut down.
Right.
We'll be in the rinks watching them, and hopefully our recruiting goes back to what it was.
Well, that's all we can hope for. Get back to some level of normalcy on many levels. Let's see. We're going to take a quick break here and hear from one of our sponsors, and then return with Wings Weekly after this.
How you move matters. Avera Orthopedics helps you move freely and live life to the fullest with innovative treatment options customized to your bone, muscle, and joint needs. Whether you suffer from aches, breaks, tears, or dislocations, turn to the orthopedic team experienced in treating every body.
As we continue on with Wings Weekly, Coach, we talked a little bit about how this pandemic has affected things. We talked a little bit about the 4 preseason games that are in the books. We've got 2 more coming up against Austin. What do you know about Austin? And again, we know that wins and losses aren't the key, but what do you know? Do they bring some different components to the table that maybe you haven't seen between the games with Minot and Bismarck?
Well, they're certainly a team that in the past, Coach Howard is really structured guy that puts a good defensive product in place, and they always seem to have some guys that can put the puck in the net. So, I'm sure it's going to be a team that's tough to play against like they usually are. We never have an easy time with Austin, and they're tough to play against. So I'm expecting them to come in here and give us a tough match, which we need. We need to see how our guys are going to respond after this past weekend. We don't like to lose. Obviously, losing 2 in a row is not something you want to get used to. So I want to see our guys respond, and we're going to work through the week to get that response.
Well, exhibition or not, like I said during the game, it's fun to win and fun to score goals, that's for sure. Do you prepare any differently for exhibition games than you would for the regular season? Or is it more about, not so much about that team or that particular game than it is about your team? Then, a little bit different, I guess, than it would be for a regular season matchup.
Yeah, it's a lot different. I would say it's 100% about us and how we're reacting to things, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and how we can get better. A lot of times during the season, you get to know your opponent. You have a pre-scout done on them. We're not really worried about the opposition as much as we're worried about how we do things and how hard we're working and just the little things that need to go the right way in order to win hockey games. So that's kind of been our main focus throughout this training camp process.
Yeah. Kind of what I expected, but you and Aaron and Greg had a press conference here a couple weeks back and talked a little bit about how things are being affected. And I'm curious, since I didn't go on the road trip this last weekend, how has the COVID thing affected travel and how you as a team function?
Well, every time you get on the bus or off the bus, you got your temperature taken, your symptoms taken. Every time that you go into the arena, you're getting your symptoms taken and your temperature. masks are everywhere. Everywhere we go, the team wears masks on the bus, in locker rooms, doing their stretch. At every place but the ice surface, they're wearing their masks. So obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on with us in the other arenas where we have to have the disinfected benches and the equipment, and every day our locker room gets sanitized. Everything that's touched gets sanitized. So there's a lot added to the protocol that we have to follow, but it's interesting. It really is. It's when you have to coach guys in a mask all the time, and the players have to get to know one another with masks on all the time. It's a difficult thing. Your reaction to things that the guys aren't seeing when I'm really mad, obviously, but I think to get to know a guy too, it's tough when you're constantly having to wear masks. So we're having to work around that and to kind of get used to it, because I don't see it changing for a while. Yeah. And we're just gonna have to, if we want to play hockey, we're just gonna have to keep doing the right things all the time and keep these guys healthy and on the ice.
Well, it's an interesting point you bring up, because you do, the facial expressions and a little bit of a smirk or something when something is said as a joke, that maybe somebody's going to take that a little bit differently when you can't see their face. So I can see where that would be a bit of an issue. And I think they're kind of scared of you anyway.
No.
All right, well, that is pretty much going to wrap things up for this week's Wings Weekly. Again, exhibition games. So we're not diving a whole lot into the hockey components of it just yet, but once the regular season starts, we'll do that a little bit more. Friday, October 2nd and Saturday, October 3rd versus the Austin Bruins. Again, those are exhibition matchups, final home exhibition games of the year. Paid reserve season ticket holders receive free admission, $10 general admission tickets available online at aberdeenwings.com/tickets. Reserve season tickets and corporate night sponsorships are available for the 2020-2021 season. Call Aaron at 605-380-5852 for more information. And all the latest news and information on the Wings, visit aberdeenwings.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. Doors will open for all Wings home games at 5:30, and the puck always drops at 7:15. Coach, thanks so much for joining me, and good luck against Austin this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, folks, thanks for watching. That'll wrap up this week's Wings Weekly.